So I had my 16th infusion of Tepezza on Saturday, February 12th, I think. Yeah, February 12th. Um, and I am so glad to be done with it. Um, it's been like an arduous journey since I have been dealing with all of these autoimmune issues. Well, mostly just not having a thyroid anymore. And so um, it's been challenging to say the least. I had my thyroid removed completely in November of 2019. And I can't think that there's been a single day that I haven't been challenged between having to take thyroid replacement, like, the thyroid replacement medication, and hoping that it's the right dose or that my body's gonna, work with it. I am on the maintenance medication for my thyroid called Armor Thyroid. I take between 190 milligrams and 205 milligrams. Currently, um, right now it's pretty steady at about maybe like 195 milligrams per day. Um, I tend to take my medication in the evening um, because I am also a prior bariatric patient. I had gastric bypass in 2016. That also means I have to be aware of my protein, my fiber intake, my nutrient intake. I've really got to be aware of my macros, meaning I need to know what I'm putting in my body, when I'm putting it in my body, and how often I'm doing it to make sure that I'm getting all of the nutrients I need in a 24-hour period, or, well, yeah, less than that, really. But it's it's definitely a challenge to be organized enough to stay on top of it. I can say that with the pandemic from, 2019 to 2020, it was just really kind of lame. Um, Sorry about that. And so I had a bit of a hard time because, I was working at home. I used the pandemic as an excuse to, um, eat whatever I wanted, gained a few extra pounds, and um, that on top of my thyroid issues has been so not awesome. And I allowed myself to get into some bad habits again, dietary wise, and I am slowly making those changes. I'm actually starting a keto diet tomorrow. I've never done a keto before, but I'm excited to try something different, and it seems relatively simple. Um, I just have to make sure I get my blood tests done regularly and that my doctors help me stay on top of it to make sure that um, being consistently in ketosis isn't going to affect the other systems in my body that are in need of nutrients that I may not be getting in my diet. So I've got to make sure I'm taking all my vitamins, my minerals, all the water, everything else on top of that. So, anyway, I'm so glad to be done with the Tepezza though. So, I had eight, it had two series of eight infusions. My first eight infusions were in 2020, and then, well, between 2019 and 2020. And then my second series of eight infusions was between 2020 and 2021. Um, After my first set of infusions, everything was okay for 7 or 8 months, and then I started having a flare up of my thyroid eye disease. My neuro-ophthalmologist and I discussed it and decided that I should try the Tepezza again. Tepezza has helped, but it's interesting because right after the infusions, for the first day, there's like a heaviness behind the eye, and the day after, my vision is usually kind of blurry most of the day. I have glasses, so I can still read and stuff, but I sometimes also need to use a magnifying glass for finer print, for sure. I don't want to and can't get a new prescription until things sort of level out for more than a few months at a time with my vision. Um, so during the flare up, the symptoms I went through, I didn't have the bulging, but I did have pressure behind the eyes. I had headaches, I had blurry vision, um, and and it was pretty consistent. I had migraines due to the excess pressure. And so it just was getting bad. I wasn't able to, I was losing consistency with work, and I wasn't going out as much. Granted, it was COVID, so I wasn't really going out much anyway. But um, that's kind of where that started. And with each infusion, I would say I felt kind of the same. As far as side effects go, um, because of my not having a thyroid, I think it's kind of hard for me to differentiate a little bit between um, what symptoms I have and exactly if they're the cause of being on Tepezza infusions or being on thyroid medication or a combination of both and maybe being dehydrated. Who knows? I know in general, my symptoms that I've noticed from um, during the time I've been on Tepezza, I've had tremors, but I had tremors before Tepezza too, but they were a little worse, especially when dehydrated. On Tepezza, I had some more digestive issues, um, more upset stomach, um, more bowel issues because of that. So I had to really watch what I was eating, and make sure that I wasn't gonna get like backed up or constipated because of that. What else? And then I had those regular issues. Before I started Tepezza, I had really bad bulging. I had proptosis a little bit. I had all of the same, the tremors. I had headaches, migraines, um, heaviness behind the eyes, pain from like eye pain itself, um, and all of that good stuff. Not really good stuff, but I was dealing with those. After my first series of 8 infusions of Tepezza, the bulging went away. I would say after maybe 6 weeks of being on Tepezza, after 2 or 3 treatments, the bulging just I still have loose skin from it, unfortunately, but the bulging itself has never really returned in full force as of yet. Um, and I'm grateful for that too. Um, I also don't have as much buildup of pressure behind the eye as I had before. My eye pressures have been, um, sometimes they get high, but they haven't been as high as they were before I ever started Tepezza. They were pretty high consistently, especially when I go get them checked uh, at my optical neurologist's office. So I had high eye pressures, migraines, pretty much typical thyroid eye disease case. After the first 8 infusions of Tepezza, everything subsided pretty well. except for blurry vision, that still comes and goes. And I think that that just depends on, my, I don't know, which way the wind blows. I'm not really sure about why that is, but it does get blurry. But I do find that like getting up and having a little bit of physical activity seems to help it kind of clear up a bit, just kind of getting up and walking around. Maybe not staring at screens too much. Um, that kind of helps too. So after this second series of 8 infusions, which I'm glad are over, um, like I said, I had it 2 days ago. Um, I have felt after each infusion a heaviness behind the eyes, and um, yeah, other than that, I feel okay. I don't feel too off. And that's pretty much my experience with Tepezza. I know everyone kind of has different side effects, and there are a lot of maybe scary side effects to think of, but it is the only FDA approved medication at this point to treat thyroid eye disease, and I'm really, truly grateful of that. I've been lucky enough to have insurance who two insurance companies now who have covered it. And I will say that for those people who are in the US that have regular insurance, um, it's definitely a challenge to get it covered because it is so very expensive. It's been a year and a half now that it's been out, and maybe a little less than, maybe just over a year. Sorry, maybe 14 months. Anyway, it hasn't been out that long. And there are some people who have had, maybe bad reactions to it. Um, I've connected with a lot of people in different thyroid and thyroid eye communities, both online and in person. And it's interesting how this disease affects each person. Like the symptoms, it seems like are on a lot of ways the same, but not everybody gets all of the symptoms, or some people have, just maybe a few of the symptoms, or who knows. So it's definitely interesting, and I think it's important to connect with people who have these issues or going through these issues and share, any information I can, and definitely be as supportive as I'm able with, working through my own crazy stuff. And um, it's, and even just recording all these odd videos too. So, um, anyway, I just wanted to update. I am done with Tepezza, hopefully forever, but um, as I'm learning, it seems like it might be something that is going to be continually needed for those of us who have thyroid eye disease, again, because it is not a cure. It is only a treatment, and it is currently the only medicinal treatment for thyroid eye disease, other than getting surgery. And luckily, I've never had the orbital decompression, and I'm grateful for that. Um, if I can keep things consistent for the next 12 months, I might wind up having the only there's only two surgeries that can help with the excess skin from your proptosis or from your eyes bulging, and one's called a blepharoplasty, which is basically where they cut away that excess skin on your eyelid, and um, that's it on both the eyes. They cut away the excess skin, and that's generally covered by insurance because it's something that is needed after going through Tepezza or surgery. If you have to go through like orbital decompression over and over, a lot of times the insurance will cover that because you need that excess skin gone. Um, the other one is like a full facelift where they'll like shave this part of the head and literally cut a line from here to here, ear to ear, and just like pull the skin up, cut away the excess, and sew it up and let you go. So, one of those two options might be what I'm looking forward to in the future if I feel like I want to be cut open. But as of right now, I'm okay with having a little extra skin and just dealing with it. So, I'm glad I haven't had to have any of the major surgeries. There are people who have had orbital decompression over and over, and thyroid eye disease doesn't go away. It's something we'll have our entire lives, unfortunately, and there's no specific cure, just varying treatments. So it's still being researched. It's still being checked. Um, Tepezza in my situation worked both times I've taken it. Um, and again, I'm grateful to have gone through that process. I wish it was more accessible for people all over the world, especially in developing countries where so many people are dealing with this exact issue, maybe even more than Americans, who knows for sure. But I can say more of the people I've talked to are abroad and not in the United States. So my hope is that Tepezza will soon be able to go beyond just the US and be delivered around the world soon. Um, but please, if you have any questions, reach out. Um, and yeah, that's about it for me for now. I'm, back to being a mostly functional human being, even with thyroid eye disease and having no thyroid at all. So um, it's interesting, but I hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day and stay safe out there. Please feel free to comment or ask me questions if you have them. Thank you. Thanks for watching.